All right, everybody, how's it going? Ben Gothard here, founder and CEO of Gothard Enterprises, author of CEO at 20. I'm joined by the main man, Patrick Osman. How you doing today, Pat?
Ben, what's going on, my man? Going really good, brother. Really good. How are you?
Awesome, awesome, dude. Thank you. So, what Patrick and I are going to do for you, awesome people, today is we are going to do a full-blown workshop on sales. That's right. We're going to teach you everything that you need step by step on how to become an outrageous sales beast. And Patrick, can you give a little bit of insight on your background? Give the people a little bit of a bio on yourself so they know who they're learning from.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Patrick Osman, and I've been in the sales industry for over 8 years now. But predominantly, I've worked in different industries, but the most recent industries in which I've worked in has been education as well as the stock market. So basically, in the stock market, I was there for about 2 years, worked for the largest Australian stockbroking firm called the Australian Stock Report, and I managed the Sydney and the Melbourne office and over 40 brokers. So it was pretty intense, pretty intense 2 years of persuasion. Um, but prior to that, I've been working in different sales industries like education, selling personal training and fitness, and gym memberships as well. So I've been managing a few gyms. But at the end of the day, persuasion is persuasion, and business is business, and product just changes. That's what it comes down to, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Patrick, I think that sales are so incredibly important to the lifeblood of a business and of an entrepreneur. But just in case there's anybody who might not truly put enough emphasis on sales, can you talk a little bit about the importance of being an expert salesman?
Okay. The importance of being an expert salesperson is simply growth. Okay. Now, if you are an expert salesperson, pretty much you have the ability to knock down every opportunity that comes your way. But if you are a salesperson who lacks sales skills, opportunities are going to come your way, but you won't have the ability to knock down as much as possible, which will jeopardize your growth for your company or your position within that company. Pretty much you'll be wasting leads. Okay.
Absolutely.
So the ideology behind it is that you need to master and craft the art of persuasion so then you can grow as a human and as a salesperson in your position or your company.
Fantastic, fantastic, Patrick. So let's dive right into this, right? And just for those listening, what to expect. We're gonna go interview style, where I'm gonna ask Patrick specific questions, and he's going to provide his expertise on the subject. And through this give and take, through this back and forth, our goal is to educate you and train you and take your sales game to the next level. So let's jump right in. Patrick, can you talk about the theory behind sales? Maybe starting off with, what is sales?
Sales is basically a conversation in which person A attempts to persuade person B to think the exact same way that person A is thinking. Okay, so at the moment, how it works is basically person A will attempt to persuade person B, but at the moment, person A is on wave X and person B is on wave Y. So in sales, person A needs to persuade person B to get on wave X opposed to wave Y. How does person A do that? That's why we're on this call. That's why I've written books. That's why I've made my sales training program. Okay, to teach people how to influence other individuals in business, start thinking in harmony with themselves, basically, right? Sales can take place between anyone. Okay, I mean, right now I'm selling you on what is sales. I'm selling you until you're persuaded, until you understand the concept of what sales is. That means I haven't sold you yet, right? But basically, in essence, it's getting people to think the exact same way as you. And how you do it is called developing a good sales process.
Fantastic, fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the ethical side of it, right? Because I feel like some people think, oh, selling's a bad thing. I don't want to go sell because it's just not a good thing, right? So can you talk a little bit about the principle or the concept of selling being a good or a bad thing?
Okay. Selling can be great. Selling can be very bad. Okay. But what is the differentiation? It's one word, and that's ethics. Okay. Now, let's rewind it back to the 1970s, okay, or the 1980s, back when car salesmen and mortgage brokers and stockbrokers were willing to do anything in their possible power to get money out of the client's pocket, but give them pretty much anything in return, okay? So what happened back then was that era caused a disruption in the business to consumer environment. What happened was, obviously they attempted to close every possible sale, get as much money out of the consumer as possible, and the consumer was getting bad products. In return, the consumer has now, from the 1970s and 80s, generations have passed, and we're now in 2017, and the consumer has got that mentality stuck with them because the consumer has been hurt. So it's left us, Ben, with a problem, okay? We now need to deal with this problem. Basically, if you and I were in the 70s and the 80s, no one would have to create some form of a sales training program because people are willing to buy. They were not scared of the salesman. But in 2017, okay, 2018 and 19, they will be, and they are. I've developed a sales training program, okay, that has worked around this issue and is the solution, the absolute solution to cater for this problem.
Absolutely.
The problem of is selling a bad thing. I've got a video in there that covers this whole subject, okay? It covers it from A to Z. Basically, if you're selling a product that you believe in and you know for a fact is going to benefit the client, sell it. You're doing something great. Because if you know that you would buy it, sell it. And make sure you sell it and make sure you persuade the client. But if you know for a fact that if you were in your client's shoes and that you would not buy it, refer them to someone else who will buy it, who will benefit them, or don't sell the product. Really simple.
I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly, because if you don't truly believe in what you're selling, and if you don't know that what you're selling is going to benefit the other person, then I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's not an ethical sale. That's not an ethical sale to make. So I'm really glad you brought up that point. Now let's talk a little bit about the psychology behind sales, right? Maybe you could dive into kind of the mindset and really the psychology behind selling.
Okay, do you want the psychology behind selling from a sales representative prior to making contact, or the actual sale itself?
Both.
Okay, we'll start with number one, the psychology of the sale. Okay, prior to a salesman making contact. What happens is us as salespeople, we start painting images in our brain, in our mind. Okay, inside our brain, we have something called the pineal gland. Okay, so when I tell you to close your eyes and I tell you to picture yourself standing at the front of the Sydney Opera House with a beautiful red Ferrari, you can see everything. The reason why you can see everything is because your pineal gland is the eyes to your brain. Okay, now your pineal gland creates problems within your brain. It makes you think and potentially forecast the future when you're wrong because life hasn't showed you the actual answer. What happens in the salesman's brain is they're making calls, right? They're making calls. And they've made about 50 calls now, okay? They've received 50 no's. Now they're going to make the 51st call with a negative attitude with the assumption that the 51st call is going to be a negative. However, the 51st callee, or the person receiving the phone call, does not know that this person has made 50 calls. So what the problem here is the salesman goes into the 51st call with a negative mindset and then jeopardizes the energy in that phone call, which then jeopardizes the sale. What you need to do here is go in every phone call with a neutral mindset and manage your emotional state. Your mindset is your everything. It's your everything. Your arms aren't your everything. Your mindset is. So when you're selling, you need to make sure that the other person does not know what you've done 1 hour ago or 2 hours ago or 5 seconds ago. Go in there neutral and pitch what you have to pitch with ethics and with confidence.
That's awesome.
Moving on to the psychology of the actual sale. Okay, well, I mean, I've covered this in my course once again, but the psychology of the actual sale, it's very similar to what I just said, but in a different situation. Basically, you cannot assume the buyer's answer. I understand that you have assumptive closes, yes, and that you can use assumptive closes at the right times, but you can't assume, say for example, you're selling, right? You're pitching. Let's say for example, I'm pitching you something, Ben, and I'm trying to sell you these Ray-Ban glasses, okay? You can get them at the shops for $100, but I'm trying to sell them to you for $200, okay? I cannot say to myself, okay, Ben is not going to buy them from me because I know for a fact that Ben knows that they're $100 in the stores. I can't say that. I need to keep selling you these glasses at $200 irrespective of what your knowledge is. I need to say, Ben, the value of these is $200, but I guarantee you, if I put them on you right now, you look better than Tom Cruise in Bad Cop. You know, you will look better. I'll take a photo of you, Ben, and you'll make your profile picture now. You know, so it's about making you understand that I am right. I can't give you anything. I can't give you the ability to think something else because then I'm going to lose. I need to stay persistent on my guns and stay persuaded by my brain, not yours.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, I think it also comes back to the ethical part of it, right? Because you know at the end of the day that the value of what you're trying to sell is so much greater than what you're asking, right? You're asking
Correct.
for a little to give them a lot. So coming at it from that perspective and that mindset, absolutely you have to hammer down that value. So I'm really glad you said that, Patrick. So let's talk a little bit more about theory behind sales, because I really like this section on theory that we're talking about. Let's talk about buyer's resistance versus buyer's acceptance.
Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Jones walk into a car parking lot. They want to buy a Toyota Corolla. And then Gary comes up and says, "G'day, hi, Mrs. and Mrs. X. How can I help you today?" "No, thanks, just looking." That is a perfect example, okay, of buyer's resistance. Now, the reason why buyer's resistance takes place is purely because Mr. and Mrs. Jones don't want to be sold anything. They're at the car parking lot. They want to purchase a car, but they don't want man to sell it to them. Why? It goes back to the answer that I spoke about before of the 70s and the 80s jeopardizing the actual position of us at the moment, okay? So the ideology behind buyer's resistance and buyer's acceptance is to lower buyer's resistance and to increase buyer's acceptance. Now, the only way for that to take place, the only way you can do that, okay, is through trust. Once the prospect actually trusts you, then you have a higher chance of that prospect becoming your client. And the way you develop trust from your prospect is simply by being honest from the beginning. Okay? You will transfer the correct energy to that prospect, and the energy that you will transfer will get them to think affirmatively, decrease buyer's resistance, and increase buyer's acceptance. Now, let me give you a perfect example. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, clearly they're looking, obviously, but what are you looking for? I want to give you the answer, but tell me what you want, okay? So Gary's in the car parking lot. Mr. and Mrs. Jones are walking through. Gary says, "Hi, Mr. and Mrs. X. How can I help you today?" "No, thanks. I'm all good. I'm just looking." The best response for Gary there and then is this: "Great, that's fine. If I was you guys, I'd be doing the exact same thing. Just for my information, what is it you're looking for? Just so I can go get you some further information on that." They are forced to give you an answer. They're forced. You force them in a nice way. You put them in a corner, okay, and now they are forced to give you an answer. They can't say, "No, I'm just looking again." They've already used it, okay? So now they're going to say to you, "Oh, well, to be honest, we're looking for this Toyota Corolla." Bang, you got them, okay? Now, when Gary goes and gets a booklet or information on that Corolla, he's also going to get them 2 bottles of water as well. If there's kids, he's going to get some balloons. Whatever it is, bring it back, okay? Come back with a smile. If you're fake, Gary, if you're out there and you're watching this and you're fake, my friend, you are not going to sell these people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, I was actually going to ask a question about trust, so I'm really glad you brought that up. I do think that trust is so important because, people buy from people, and people
Correct.
only want to do business with people that they trust. And so that is a great point. So let's talk a little bit about we talked a little bit about the theory behind being successful in sales, but let's add some perspective to this, right? Let's talk about why salespeople fail.
Okay, so salespeople fail. The reason why they fail is because two reasons. Number one, okay, they are influenced by their imagination. They're influenced by their surroundings, not their imagination. Number two, they have the wrong exact process in their sales process. Their sales process is wrong. They're doing the wrong things at the wrong times. You know, some people are asking for business too early. Some people are qualifying too early. Some people are doing hypothetical closes at the wrong times. You know, if your if your process is not in harmony and in synchronization, it's not you will not sell, all right? Because there's specific ways and processes you need to implement to do anything. Right? Like for example, for you to service a car, you need to change the spark plugs, you need to change the oil filter, you need to change the oil, the gas filter, you need to change all these things. Right? If you don't change these things and you start the car and you keep driving, you miss out one or two things, you're going to see some problems later on. Why? Because your process wasn't proper. Okay, so like I said, it comes down to two things. Salespeople fail because number one, they're influenced by their surroundings, not their imagination. Let me go into that one for a bit. So when I say they're influenced by their surroundings, not their imagination, they're looking at their results and their eyeballs are seeing their results for the past week, and then their eyeballs are saying to their brain, okay, you've received 5 sales last week when everyone else has received 20. You are a very bad salesperson. You cannot sell. You are the worst. You should give up right now. And then the voice starts just taking over your brain and it starts influencing you. When in hindsight, what you should be doing is ignoring what's around you, focusing on what it is that you have to do, focusing on your prospect lists, and book those meetings and close those sales. Pick up the phone heartlessly and do what you have to do. Heartlessly towards yourself, but with a full heart towards the prospect. You get that? And then once you get that, then that will allow you to have the right attitude, because attitude is everything in sales. And if you're influenced by your surroundings and what you see, that will influence your attitude, which will influence your performance. And that's what you don't want. Right? And number two, your sales process is all over the place. Okay? If you want me to answer that question, I'll be here all day, brother. So I can't answer that one right now. But your sales process, from your prospecting to your qualification to your closing, okay, that needs to be in harmony. You cannot pitch someone straight away and say, hello, hi, this is Patrick. Listen, I'm calling you because I'm dying to sell you this box of chocolates. Like, you can't do that straight away. All right, there's specific ways of you going about selling. So structuring your sales process and going through my course actually will assist you a lot in doing that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you touched on it briefly, but I want to move from the theory behind sales into actually becoming a sales beast, right? So let's talk a little bit about attitude, right? How whether it's developing the right attitude, maintaining the right attitude, just give us some insight on how to become a sales beast through starting with attitude.
Okay, you need to accept, for everyone who has read my book, Your Life, Your Business, you will understand what the first class mentality is, okay? The first class mentality is a mentality where you accept nothing but the best, okay? You don't accept the word no. You go out there, you go the extra mile, and you do anything in your possible power to make sure that you're a winner, right? That's what the first class mentality is. Now, for you to get in beast mode, in sales beast mode, you need to be hungry, okay? You cannot, I repeat and I stress, you cannot be influenced by your emotions. You can't, because the slightest negative emotion that will come your way will bring you down like a big weight, and you can't have that. What you need to do is be focused purely by your results, okay? Focus, set your targets and set those results and achieve them, okay? Do anything in your power. Become that sales beast by being the first one in the office and the last one out. Become that sales beast by be willing to work at any hour of the day. Become that sales beast by investing in courses, in books, in seminars when other salespeople don't. Become that sales beast when you're willing to do anything in your possible power to earn that client's business. Do you have to drive 3 hours to get there? Good. Push the gas. Do you have to buy that client lunch? Good. Spend that money. What do you have to do to earn that business? You don't say no. You don't question. You do it. You get the job done. That's a sales beast. You have to make 500 calls while the other salesperson cries. You're making your 10th call. Okay? It's about making the call and getting it done.
Hell yeah. I love that. I love that mentality because, at the end of the day, we're only going to be able to achieve the things that we set out to achieve, right? And so if we're not putting forth that 110% at all times, then somebody else is going to come and kick our ass, right? So I love what you said about that, having that first class mentality, right? So let's keep talking about how to become a sales beast, right? One of the things that I think is really important for salespeople is being able to differentiate and stand out, right? So how does one do that as a salesman?
The answer is really simple. He or she does the things that every mediocre individual does not do. Okay, so say for example, you've got when I first started at the stockbroking industry, right? Let me just share a quick story with you. Okay, it will answer your question. I started working at a broker firm, and 5 of us got hired. Okay, 3 people. It's been 2 weeks had passed. 3 people had closed the deal. 2 of us had not closed the deal. So on Tuesday, my boss came and tapped my shoulder and said, "Patrick, you'll be out of here by Friday if you have not closed the deal." I said, "No worries." From Tuesday, that was at 11 a.m. Tuesday, 11 a.m. till 10 p.m., I stayed in the office at night. I did not take a lunch break. I did not. I was there. I was making calls. I was making calls. I was making calls. The next day, I got into the office at 7 a.m. I was calling people in New Zealand, which were 3 hours ahead. After 6 o'clock, I stayed back calling people in Perth, which were 3 hours behind. I stayed back till 10 cold calling. I did the same on the Wednesday, on Thursday. On Friday came. I had not closed the deal. I was about to lose my position, but I was doing everything in my possible power to make sure that I was going to get this. Friday came. I had closed 3 deals. I'd become top seller for the week. And then from every week after that, I became salesman of the week. And 2 months later, I became the actual trading floor manager of the company. But the reason why that happened was because I was relentless. I had the best attitude. I was driven. Okay. I was willing to do what other people were not willing to do. The other salesperson who was hired with me, there was 5 of us. 3 had closed the deal already, and 2 of us hadn't. He came and notified the both of us that we were going to be out. He was out by Friday. I wasn't. But the reason why was because of attitude. I was not going on my lunch breaks. I did not value my lunch breaks. I valued time. And time and this thing work hand in hand together. So I made sure that I was using it to my advantage to make sure that I can get above the line.
Hell yeah. That's what I like to hear. So, I want to talk a little bit more about becoming a sales beast. And I want to talk about the script, right? Because you mentioned your sales script, but I truly think that your script is your best friend. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of having a kick-ass sales script?
The script can work your way and it can work against you. Okay? Now, what do I mean by that? The importance of having a script is that it gives you a sense of direction and it gives you a sense of understanding of the reason as to why you have to make the call. That's the importance. Okay? You need to have kick-ass script. Your script needs to be direct, it needs to be on point, it needs to be direct with respect. You need to have your value proposition, you need to have your questions, you need to have your tie downs, you need to have your meeting question final. Okay? But what you need to make sure is that you don't become dependent on your script. When you become dependent on your script and your prospect deviates from the script and you don't know what to say, you'll start going, and there comes problems. And then when you start umming and ahhing and making these noises, that sends one message to the prospect, and that is a lack of confidence. You don't want that. Okay? You need to be making sure that you're always on point, you're on the money, you're sharp as a tack, and you're ready to go. So, yes, I respect, keep your script in your hand at all times. Okay? I don't care if you're an absolute killer salesman or not. I always have a script, always, no matter what happens. I always have a script. Sometimes I deviate because the prospect deviates from the script, but then I bring them back on the script and I keep going.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I know you said that it would take all day to talk about the actual process of, and you were saying you have to have your process on point, and I think the script is just one key piece of the process. But can you just give kind of at an overview level what a really professional process would look like? Just a brief overview, and then I want to move into telephone sales after that.
Okay. Okay, so just a brief process, basically looking at, okay, so you're prospecting, okay? So from the prospecting section of your process, you want to make sure that your attitude, okay, your mindset is on point for prospecting, okay? Prospecting is simply a numbers game, but at the same time, you need to be good at what you do because you need to maximize your numbers. If you don't maximize your numbers, you're killing leads, you're wasting opportunity. Okay, so prospecting is pretty much simply, if you look at like a funnel, okay, you know how you put gas in your tank and you got that wide funnel, okay, that's prospecting. The more food in there, the more opportunity to close later on. Okay, that's prospecting. You move down after prospecting into qualification. Okay, qualification is probably the most important. Closing is not the most important part of selling. I'm telling you right now. I'll tell you right this second. Closing is not the most important part of selling because in the sales process, you've got prospecting, qualifying, and closing, right? That's the theory. But the psychology, there's two forms of influential factors in a sale. Okay? At one point, you need to influence them that they are doing the right thing. And that takes place during qualification. The second form of influence in a sale takes place when it comes to the price. They need to be persuaded, okay, that their perceived value of your proposition is equivalent to the price that you've just pitched. So when you're pitching a product and you see that they're excited, they want to do it, yeah, this is great, let's do it. And you present the price and like, yeah, no worries, yeah. Like you present, and you in your head you're like, hold on, they were really easy with that. Their perceived value was higher than that. Okay? So don't forget, they're the 2 points of influence in a sale. Okay? When it comes to qualification, you need to influence them on your product. They need to be influenced. Number 2 is the price. Okay? Now, the most important part of a sale is the qualification section. The reason why I say that is because that's where you're gathering intelligence. All right? You're finding out whether your product can marry their why. All right, so they're contacting you for a reason. There's a specific reason as to why they're in contact with you. They have a problem, and obviously you need to make sure that your product or service is a solution. If it is, your sales process needs to justify why it's a solution, so then they can then be influenced. First form of influence done. Okay. From there, you'll then move on to closing the sale. Okay, so you've gathered intelligence, you've asked the right questions, you've asked factors that determine them to buy, you've paced and lead, you've matched and mirrored, you've done it all. Now you're going to move on to the actual close. Okay, you're going to use some more specific techniques like hypothetical questioning, like tie downs. You're going to use recapping, offsetting language patterns, all these cool stuff, right? And then once you've used all them, you will then ask for business. They say yes, you sign the contract. They say no, the second sale starts. Yeah. From there, you then move into overcoming objections. Now, I'm not too sure if you've seen my course, Ben, but I've actually composed a 5 steps overcome any objection process that has worked for me in the past 5 years, and this process has literally made me over hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's real simple. I isolate everything. I isolate everything. And I've been training this now for the past 2 years, and companies have given me amazing feedback, and their sales reps have gone through the roof simply by this 5-step process that you can find out in detail if you have a look at my course.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's move into telephone sales, right? So I want to start by asking you a question: is cold calling dead?
Ben, when you and I booked this meeting, how did you contact me?
Well, I actually gave you a phone call.
You gave me a phone call. So without that phone call, we still could have had this meeting only because we know each other, and you would have messaged me and I would have accepted. But if I didn't know you and you messaged me, I would not have accepted. You would have had to call me for me to understand who you are, what you do, and to do business with you. You would have to call me. So for as long as technology exists, I'm talking about verbal technology where we can call people via Skype via Facebook, phone call, messenger, sorry, even with our phones. For as long as that exists, cold calling isn't dead. For as long as a human can hear another human's voice, cold calling is not dead. That's what it comes down to, okay? Because, yeah, so what's going to happen, as a matter of fact, people can say cold calling is dead, right? But the way the internet's going, everything's being all like automated now, right? Cold calling is going to, its demand is going to pick back up. Consumers are going to want to be cold called in the near future because no one's going to be calling anyone anymore. So whoever is still cold calling now is going to stand out because at the moment, no one's cold calling. They're all thinking that everything is persuasion on the internet. 77% of people are transacting online. I understand that. But don't forget that there's another 23% who are waiting to be sold.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about people being scared of the phone, right? Well, what's the mindset behind being scared, and how do you overcome that?
Well, there's this big monster, right? It's going to come and attack you when you pick up the phone. no. Basically, in sales, what happens is a lot of people lack. Some people, they lack confidence when it comes to selling and persuading over the phone. And the reason why they lack confidence is really simple. It's because they don't understand their product. Okay. Now, if they don't understand their product or they don't understand how to pitch, okay, you're going to lack confidence. You know, if you haven't done something for the first time, you're going to lack confidence, which is fine. But why are you scared? Lack confidence, okay, that's fine. But why are you scared? I mean, is there a monster? Is someone going to come and kill you? Is someone going to eat you alive? Well, what's the problem? What's the issue? Tell me. So maybe I've been doing something wrong. Maybe I need to be scared. You know? So tell me, advise me. Why are we scared of the phone? People lack confidence, yes. But you should never ever be scared of the phone because all it is a piece of plastic made by man, okay? And you're speaking to another human being on the other side of the line, attempting to get money out of them, and you're going to provide a service. There is nothing scary at all.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more on the actionable steps side. How do you go about selling on the phone?
Depending on your actual product or service will determine the actual process over the phone. But to start off, what you want to do is initial contact is you need to set the standard, okay? So whether you're booking a meeting, okay, or selling a product from the get-go, I believe step number one definitely should be to book a meeting. But the thing is, you want to tell the prospect exactly what you're doing. Because if you don't, then they're going to be left with questions in their head that you have not answered. You don't want that. You want to have answered all their questions so then they can say, oh, he was very confident. I've actually got no questions to ask, right? So what you need to do, step number one is you need to book the meeting, but you need to make sure that you initiate the relationship, show some respect, pitch with respect, be direct when you pitch, and tell the prospect your intentions for the phone call. That's 100%. That's step one. Number two, once you've received the actual intentions of the phone call, you've received the meeting, okay, you then organize a callback or a meetup face-to-face, and that's when you do your pitch, pretty much your in detail pitch, when you explain exactly what it is that you have to offer, how you're different, who you are, but the most important part, you have the 8 key questions that I ask in my qualification process. Now, when you actually go through those questions and you actually crack into the client's brain, that's when you're going to be a step ahead of the market. When you actually crack into this client's brain, when you catch them in their thinking phase, and then when you leverage off that and you provide them with guidance towards the right way.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about being of service and calling with a purpose. And you touched on it a little bit, but maybe you could go a little bit more in depth on those 2 points.
Okay. So look, what you need to do whenever you're making a phone call, okay, you need to know the intention of the call. You cannot be calling someone with no intention. You can't. It doesn't work because you're going to be umming and ahhing, and then you're going to portray a very bad image towards the prospect. They're going to think you're you're not a reliable, credible source. You don't want that. You don't want to tarnish your reputation. Okay, your reputation in business is your everything. So make sure that you don't tarnish it. Call with a purpose, or do not call. Call with a reason. Call to notify someone that there's a sale going on. Call to notify someone that there's a discount. Call to notify someone that there's a new product. Call to notify someone that your product can now do X as opposed to Y. Don't call and just ask them how they are. If you don't mean it. If you don't mean it, don't do it, because they can feel the fakeness. However, at all times you are to be of service. Always ask them, what else can I do to help you? What else can I do to earn your business? Now that I have earned your business, what else can I do to assist you further? Can I put you on to someone else? What else is it that you're looking for in the marketplace? I have friends in business who can assist you with XXXX. Would you be interested? Always be looking to be helping. Be a nice person. Always be willing to help. The other day I went to the gas station and this guy said to me, "Excuse me, can you buy me a pack of cigarettes?" I said, "Yeah, no worries. What do you smoke?" I don't know who it was. I had no idea. I said, "Yeah, what do you smoke?" He told me what I smoke. I said, "All right." So I walked in there, got him a pack of smokes. I gave him some smokes and I gave him $20 as well. And he said, "Thank you so much. I didn't know you were going to actually buy the cigarettes." I said, "Listen," I said, "you asked." I said, "So you're going to receive it. It's really simple. It's not that hard. So it's just about being of service and helping people."
Absolutely, absolutely. So, when you're calling somebody, how do you know which number to call, right? Because there are so many different numbers and there's so many different people in an organization. How do you know which number to call and how do you get to the top?
Yeah, great. Basically, in today's society, you need to be chasing cell numbers because no one's at home. Okay, even in when you're calling landline at offices, you're asking for objections. You're asking to face the gatekeeper. You're asking to hit the voicemail. All right. No one's sitting at their desk doing nothing. Everyone's on the move. Everyone's in meetings. People are at lunch. People are at coffee. They're growing. They're moving. They're getting things done. All right. You need to contact their mobile. Get into their mobile. Get into their personal life. Okay. Crack into their personal life. Use LinkedIn. Use social media to your advantage to find out where they are, what they're doing, what they do, what do they like on Facebook? What restaurants do they go to? Find out these tiny little things in detail and do anything in your possible power, okay, to be omnipresent in that person's life, right? So whether it's you attempting, if you don't have their mobile number, you can call up, their office and attempt to get their number by pitching yourself. I don't believe in calling up and lying and saying I'm a very good friend of John. He knows me very well. Can I have his number? No, because if you're a very good friend of John, John should have your number. So I believe that you should always be honest. And if you come across the gatekeeper, be upfront and direct with the gatekeeper. And if the gatekeeper says no, it's your job to hassle the gatekeeper up until she says yes. That's me personally. That's what I do.
Absolutely, absolutely.
In a very polite manner at all times.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about on the phone the power of getting to know people, right? How important is that in the sales process and how do you actually go about doing it?
Basically, social media is going to assist you here. The power of getting to know people within the workplace, right? The advantage that gives you is that it shows that you have not only have done your due diligence on the company, but it shows that you know who is in the company for them to consider you a reliable source. It gives you a step ahead of your competition. So if someone else cold calls and says, "Hi, is that Ben Gothard?" You say, "Yes." "So Ben, how you going, man? Look, I'm calling you to own your business because I have such and such and such," right? If I say that, or if I say, "Hi, is that Ben?" And then you say, "Yeah." I say, "Hey, Ben, look, it's Patrick. I actually spoke to your mum the other day at the shopping center. She notified me that you're currently working online. And look, what I actually do is you immediately would engage with me more than someone else. You feel closer to me opposed to someone else because I spoke to your mum." Do you see where I'm coming from? Or I spoke to your business partner, or I spoke to your sister, or I spoke to someone affiliated with you, right? You feel associated with me straight away. Why? There's a connection. I know someone that you know as well. Okay? And that's what it's about. It's about developing your relationship with that person by leveraging off your current relationships in that industry.
Fantastic, fantastic. So let's move from telephone sales to prospecting. So it's time to sell. We want to start prospecting. Maybe give a little bit of theory behind prospecting, and then we'll move into the nitty gritty of it.
Okay, all right. So the theory behind prospecting, pretty simple, right? Prospecting is a numbers game, okay, and it's an attitude game. Okay, that's all it is. Numbers and attitude. Numbers and attitude. Maintain the positive attitude, keep dialing. That's really what prospecting is. The idea to put more food on your plate. The more food you have on your plate, the more you can distribute. The more power you have. Okay, the idea is to get power. And by getting more food on your plate, the more power you get. By food, I mean prospects and filling up your pipeline. Okay, prospecting is where the hard work is. It's called prospecting. Do you know what prospecting is? It's when people used to go and prospect and look for gold. Prospectors. Have you heard the term prospector? Hey, prospector. To have that term before? Because prospectors used to go and look for gold in the mines. So they were called. Because they were prospecting. They were going out, searching and looking and hunting. Right? And that's what we are as salespeople. All right? We are prospectors. We go out and we prospect, look for business, and attempt to fill up our pipeline.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I want to go a little bit more in depth with prospecting, right? So, what happens when you just keep calling and you have that mind of steel, right? What happens when you just keep doing that? Keep prospecting.
Okay, the mind of steel. The mind of steel. When you keep calling, you have the mind of steel. Basically, nothing will stop you. So when you have the mind of steel, right, you will call through, and nothing will get in your way. No client's content of the conversation will influence the way you think for the next phone call. Nothing outside or nothing in your external surroundings will influence your brain for you to jeopardize the quality of the next phone call. The mind of steel basically is just this barrier that you wear. Okay, you wear a barrier that blocks you from everything, and you're focusing just on booking meetings, booking meetings, booking meetings, booking meetings, right? And no matter who says no to you, that doesn't influence the next phone call. It doesn't influence your energy. Your energy stays at a peak. You have a mind of steel. You keep moving forward. You keep moving forward. 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 calls. You keep moving forward. Nothing stops you. That's the mind of steel.
Fantastic, fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about uh, identifying our prospects, right? How do we know who we want to call?
Great, no worries. Perfect question. You're looking at social media here, right? Social media will assist you because it gives you the ability to research. When you research and do some due diligence on the actual prospect, it gives you an insight on what to pitch them and what to sell them. Do you get it? When you actually find out who your prospect is, what they like, what their hobbies, what their interests are, okay, you use the internet to your advantage to find out how you can be of the best service to them. Okay, so say for example that you come across a New York Knicks fan, you're talking to the prospect, say, you know what, John, I'm going to be extra nice right now. I'm dying to earn your business. It'll be my absolute honor. I actually want to take you out to a New York Knicks game. What's your take? You know? Like, he'll be like, oh, no way. Like, how did you know that? Well, to be honest, I did do some research on you and I saw your Facebook profile and I saw that you're a New York Knicks fan. So he'll appreciate the fact that you went out of your time, out of your own personal time, okay, to research and find out a bit more about John. John will appreciate that, okay? The buyer's acceptance will increase. The buyer's resistance will decrease.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I like how it all goes full circle, and you can see, and that's one of the reasons why I did want to talk with you specifically about this is because everything you're saying is coming back full circle. It all makes sense because you've been there and you've done it, and I love the fact that you're now sharing your wisdom with everybody. So thank you for that. But let's keep going. Let's talk a little bit about dealing with different personalities, right? Because there are so many different people we're going to come in contact with when we're calling. How do we deal with these different personalities?
Yeah, sure. Well, look, in my course, there's actually 4 different personalities in which I've come across, okay, in the sales industry, right? Now, for everyone who has completed my course, okay, and whoever's doing my course at the moment, you will understand that in detail, okay, who these personalities are, right? But basically, you got 4 individuals out there, and us as humans are a mix of all 4 of these personalities. However, we are predominantly 2. And once you actually understand these 4 personalities in detail, you then it will give you the ability to then serve these personalities and speak to them like how they want to be spoken to. Okay, so say for example you have someone who's very, very patient, very, very calm and collective. If you attack them, okay, and you're very direct and you're upfront and you have too much energy, they will freak out. They will not buy. Okay, so depending on who it is that you face, okay, you will understand exactly how to deal with them. Okay, so when you do complete my course, you will find out the personalities and the strategies behind how to work around them.
Fantastic, fantastic. So how important is it not only to be able to identify who these people are, which personalities they have, but how important is it to also tailor your pitch accordingly?
Well, that determines rapport. If you do not tailor your pitch accordingly, they will not buy. So by understanding, look, I've written a quote in my book, confidence is king, but understanding is queen. Okay, I've written that quote. Now, the reason why I wrote that quote was because if you don't understand a concept, how can you be confident in it? Do you see where I'm coming from? So by understanding the personality, that will then allow you to be confident to tailor your pitch. If you do not understand the personality, you can't tailor your pitch because you don't know how to leverage off that knowledge. There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is static, but wisdom is the ability to utilize knowledge and know where to put it, right? And by tailoring your pitch accordingly to each personality, that will give you a competitive edge. That will differentiate you as a salesperson, because then you will then be here because you will know exactly how to articulate your knowledge and how to speak to your prospects.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So Patrick, I do want to thank you for coming on and sharing so much value. I think that for those who have been listening, if you truly go back and you utilize this time that we have spent talking with Patrick, and you take those actionable steps and you implement them into your own business, just by doing that, you will see an improvement in your bottom line. You will see that your ability to make sales will increase. And if you then go on and share that with other salespeople under you or people in your organization, you will see that your entire organization will see a dramatically positive shift in making sales. So Patrick, I want to thank you for that. However, I think that for those of you who are serious about making the next jump in your business, in your professional life, I think that you're going to want more, right? I think that you know that it does not just stop at prospecting, right? Because we need to go on to qualification, we need to go on to closing, right? And there are so many more details that we have not talked about, details that Patrick has spent 8 years figuring out and has detailed in a resource. So Patrick, can you talk about that resource and how people can take the next step and move forward with you in order to take their game to the next level?
Yeah. Well, look, guys, I created this course simply for a reason, right? I was working in the sales industry, persuading, selling, growing sales teams. And then I realized that the strategies that I've actually used, that I've learned over the years, are actually working. Okay, me personally, I made millions for companies, but hundreds and thousands for myself. Okay, my sales reps, the shift in attitudes, I've seen the commission checks, I've seen it all. I have seen it all. I worked 12 months towards making this sales program for you guys, putting everything together, making sure that it's simple, okay, and that it's easy to understand, and it's the solution. This is the solution. It's costed me a lot of money. All right, over the past 7 or 8 years, the amount of money I've spent, hundreds of thousands, at minimum $200,000 on programs, on sales programs, on educational programs. But in this course, what I've done is I've collaborated the content and the importance from each and every single course and seminar that I've watched and learned, as well as my practical experience, and tied it all together and put together a nice gift for you guys. This is going to be pretty much the solution to any problem that you face. Okay, whatever problem you have in sales at the moment, the Sales Training Academy is going to be a solution for it, okay? But you know what? I want to earn all of your businesses, and I want you guys to be close with me when you are doing the course. Stay close, email me, chat with me. I'm going to be working close with you, okay? You got over 2.5 hours of solid, persuasive content on there that is going to assist you in closing literally any deal. All right. So when you guys come on board, make sure you stay close with me, work with me, and you're going to get an awesome certificate at the end. And I want to see exactly how you're performing. But you know what, Ben? I reckon you and I should sweeten the deal a bit more. What do you reckon?
Oh, I'm always down for that, brother.
At the moment, the course is priced at $9,997. Okay. Now, the reason why it is priced at that is because there are a lot of Fortune 500 companies jumping on board at the moment, and I want to cater for the whole market. Okay, which I feel that is fair. Go on the course, Sales Training Academy, the online. Okay, have a look at get a free trial, have a look at the videos, see what I have to offer. If you're persuaded that I can assist you in growing your business, if you are honestly persuaded, go ahead and do it straight away with pleasure. If you're not, I want you to contact me and tell me why you're not. If you're not persuaded, I want you to contact me personally because I've invested all my time into this for you guys. Okay, I travel the world and do sales seminars worldwide. But if you're not persuaded that this cannot assist you, contact me so we can chat. That means I haven't pitched myself properly.
Fantastic.
But I've already got over 1,000 students now on the academy, which is great, and it's only been open just for 3 weeks. So I'm looking at taking it big, I guess.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Patrick, again, I want to thank you so much for coming on and chatting today. I think the value that we've provided in this, this time has been substantial, and the fact that you would offer that discount code is truly meaningful. I actually did not know, for those listening, I did not know that was going to happen. So Patrick, thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate that. And to everybody else, I really want to challenge you to reach out to Patrick and to go and take this course, because there are very few things on the entrepreneurial journey that are as important as sales. If you can sell, if you can influence another person and persuade another person to buy something from you that you are selling, and you can do that time and time again, then there is nothing that can stop you from achieving anything that you want to achieve on this planet. And it doesn't matter what it is, because once you understand the theory and you have the process, and Patrick has taught you those things that are so crucial, then there is nothing that can stop you besides your imagination and besides how big you can think. So I challenge you to go use that discount code. Again, thank you so much, Patrick. Patrick, you have any closing words, my friend?
Work hard. I want to tell each and every single one of you, whether you do my course, whether you don't do my course, I want to tell you to work hard. That's what I want to tell you. The best advice: work hard. Don't let nothing stop you. Nothing. You need to allow nothing to come in your way. Stay focused on your goal. Stay focused on your vision. Stay focused on your dream. And do anything in your possible power to make sure that you achieve what it is that you want. Don't let no one or anyone or anything get in your way. Make it happen.
Hell yeah. All right. On that note, everybody, let's build a better world together.